Hello, my friends. This is Dr. B, the best doctor in medicine. 30 plus years of experience in medicine, guys. How time passes. I still remember day number 1. Today, Dr. B wants to talk to you about the importance of measuring the blood pressure in your legs. Have you noticed that when you go to the clinic, they always measure the blood pressure in your arm? Not only that, but they measure only in one arm, not both. I posted a video, guys, about the importance of measuring the blood pressure in both arms. Take a look at it. Look at my videos, guys. Dr. B, every week, I measure blood pressure in my arms, both arms, every week, no exception. It takes me 10 minutes. I'm done, right? 10 minutes, that's it, I'm done, right? It's worth it, right? And once every 3 months, I measure the blood pressure in my legs and I compare that blood pressure to the blood pressure in my arm. Listen to me very carefully. Once every 3 months, do not forget to measure the blood pressure in your legs, both legs, and compare it to the highest blood pressure in your arm, right? So every 3 months, sit down and measure both arms, the blood pressure. Pay attention only to the top number, right? And write down the highest blood pressure in either arm. Let's suppose the right arm has the highest blood pressure, the first number. Forget about, in this video, do not pay attention to the second number, which we call the diastolic. Pay attention only to the systolic, the top number, right? I'm sure all of you have a blood pressure monitor, right? Right? Electronic blood pressure monitor, right? Remember, when you take your blood pressure, it comes with a top number and a bottom number. In this video, pay attention only to the top number. So you relax in your armchair, in the couch. You take the blood pressure in this arm and then in that arm, or first in this arm and then in that arm, and you look at which one is the highest. Write that highest number down, all right? Then you have to lay down flat in the bed. And you ask your wife or your partner or your kid, whoever the katso you have at home that is available, to put the cuff, you see the cuff here? Instead of putting it around your arm, you put it just around your leg, just above the ankle. Start with the right leg or the left leg, doesn't matter, right? And pay attention to the highest number. So you measure the blood pressure as if you were measuring the blood pressure of your arm by wrapping this around your arm, but now you measure it by wrapping this, what we call the cuff, around your leg, just above your ankle. And pay attention only to the top number, right? Forget about the bottom number. Then you do the same for the other leg. Make sure that you are laying down. You have to be flat, not be standing or sitting when you measure the blood pressure in your leg. When you measure the blood pressure in your arm, it's okay to be relaxing in a couch. But if you measure the blood pressure in your legs and you want to compare it to the blood pressure in your arm, you have to be laying down when you measure the blood pressure in your leg. Do not measure the blood pressure in your leg when you are sitting or standing. It doesn't work like that, right? So now you have 3 blood pressure value. And each 3 are the top number, what we call the systolic. Forget about the diastolic. You have the blood pressure of your arm, the highest one, whether the right or the left. And you have the top blood pressure of your right leg and the top blood pressure of your left leg. Always compare this blood pressure, the top number in your right leg, to the highest blood pressure in your arm, whether the right or the left, right? Which one is higher, right? You compare this one to this one, and then this other leg to the arm. The blood pressure in your legs should never ever be lower than the blood pressure in your arm. So let's suppose I take my blood pressure in my right arm, it is at 120, right? And let's suppose I take my blood pressure on my left arm is at 115. The difference is 5 millimeters mercury. Therefore, I'm going to choose the highest number. It is this one, 120. And I'm going to compare the blood pressure in my legs to the blood pressure in this arm, which is the highest, 120, among the two arms, right? Always measure the two, see which one is the highest. Here I have 120, here I have 115. Therefore, I'm going to choose 120. And I'm going to compare the blood pressure in both legs to this 120 millimeters mercury. The blood pressure in either of your legs should not be lower than the blood pressure in your arm. It can be equal to it, but it cannot be lower. Do you understand? So I'm repeating. Measure, sit down in the couch, relax, get the blood pressure in this arm and then this arm or this arm and then that arm. See which one has the highest top number. Write it down, right? And then lay down in bed when you are relaxed. Make sure you didn't have a smoke or coffee, or you're not having an anxiety attack, and the room is nice and relaxed, right? You need to relax, guys, before, take 5 or 10 minutes before you take your blood pressure, right? And then you lay down in bed and you take blood pressure in both legs, right and left, and pay attention only to the top number. Then you compare the top number in each leg to that highest blood pressure you had written down. The blood pressure, the top number in either leg, should never be lower than the blood pressure in your arm. It can be equal to it, but never lower. If it is lower, you do it again. You remeasure it, right? Sometimes one leg is normal, but the other leg has a blood pressure lower than the highest blood pressure in your arm, right? Then that's not good. You need to always recheck the leg that is abnormal, that gives you an abnormal value of blood pressure. Sometimes both legs have an abnormal value. Then you need to recheck once or twice again to make sure that you got it right, right? Then you consult with your doctor. If the blood pressure in one leg or two legs is consistently, and you checked it many times, lower than the highest blood pressure in your arm, you definitely have a blockage. A blockage somewhere in your thigh, in your groin, in your aorta, in your, in your iliac arteries, right? Somewhere there is a blockage that makes the blood pressure in that leg lower than the blood pressure in your arm. Because normally the blood pressure in your leg should not be lower than the highest blood pressure in your arm. It can be equal, but it's never lower. It can actually be higher. So if you measure the blood pressure in your leg higher than the blood pressure in your arm, that's okay, right? So we call that the ankle, leg, ankle, because that's just above the ankle, you put that blood pressure cuff. Ankle brachial index, also called ABI. The normal value, if you take the blood pressure in the leg and you divide it by the blood pressure in the arm, the highest, right? It should be between 1 and 1.5. 4. Therefore, the blood pressure in your leg can be equal to the blood pressure, the highest blood pressure in your arm. Then the ABI is equal to 1. But the blood pressure in the ankle can be a little bit higher, up to 1.4 times the blood pressure in your arm, right? But if the ankle brachial index is less than 1, means the blood pressure in your ankle is lower than the highest blood pressure in your arm, you definitely have a problem. You need to recheck once or twice or 3 times, and then you consult with your doctor, because it means that that leg that has a lower blood pressure than the arm, sometimes both legs have a problem, have a blockage caused by plaques. So then you need to go see your doctor. Guys, if you are a smoker, even if you were a smoker and not smoking anymore, if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, you are overweight, and you are not exercising, you are a couch potato, if you have a poor diet, right? If you are drinking alcohol, any of these risk factors, even especially if you have many of these risk factors together, means you are a couch potato and you're a smoker, you have diabetes, obesity, blah, blah. The more risk factors for developing plaques of atherosclerosis, right, the higher your chances of having a blockage in the arteries of your legs, right? And the clinic is not going to do that test for you, right? It's just not going to do it. If you have enough risk factors, a lot of risk factors, then instead of doing it every 3 months, like Dr. B, do it every month, right? Because remember, having a normal value, a normal ankle brachial index today, doesn't mean that in 1 month you're not going to have a blockage, right? Or in 2 months, or in 3 months, and in 4 months. You can have no blockage today or have a very partial blockage that is okay, doesn't make your blood pressure in your leg be low. But then, as you keep eating junk food and not exercising and having risk factor, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, blah, 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 slowly the blockage in your artery becomes more and more and more pronounced, right? And then suddenly, oh my God, how come last month or 2 months ago or 3 months ago, when I measured the blood pressure in my leg, it wasn't lower than the blood pressure in my arm, but now it is lower, right? I wasn't sick. I'm not sick today. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to be sick. Do you understand what I mean? So pay attention to the number of risk factors that you have. I have absolutely no risk factors, right? I have no high blood pressure, diabetes. I don't eat junk food. I'm always on diet, exercising. I sleep good. I have low stress, blah, 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 blah. All my vital signs are those of a baby. All my blood tests, cholesterol, hemoglobin A1C, glucose, blah, 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 sugar, blah, everything, those of a baby. I check my blood pressure in both arms, and I posted a video about the difference between the two blood pressures, right, between right arm and left arm. Find that video, look at it. And I do this every week, right, to make sure that I don't develop a blockage, right, as I'm getting older, right? And every 3 months, I measure the blood pressure in my leg, both legs, and I compare it to the highest blood pressure in my arm. Okay? Please, my dear friends, my fellow citizens, remember, if you have risk factors for the development of plaques of what we call atherosclerosis, it is this gooey full of calcium and cholesterol, right, that deposits in your blood vessels, in your arteries of your brain, that gives you stroke. arteries of your heart that give you heart attack, arteries of your kidneys that give you chronic kidney disease, right? Arteries of your legs that gives you what we call peripheral arterial disease. You get my point. The more risk factors, smoking, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, low exercise level, couch potato, obesity, being overweight, blah, blah, blah. The more you have any of these risk factors, the more you have to take care of your health. And remember, the clinic is not going to bring you every month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months to measure the blood pressure in your ankle. They're not going to do it. Not even every year they're not going to do it. All they're going to do during your checkups, measure blood pressure in one arm, and the nurse is going to rush you in the exam room, and that's it. And she's going to move on to the next patient, in and out, like an assembly line. Guys, the good old days when you could give your entire body and health and trust it to the doctor, those days are gone, because the doctor is busy making money, running his business. He's busy seeing at least 30, 40 patients a day to make a lot of money, to pay the bills, his nurse and the overhead and the rent and blah, 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 saving for his retirement. And same thing at the hospitals. They are overwhelmed. Our healthcare system is overwhelmed by lack of funding. There's no money. Our country is bankrupt. Our state is bankrupt, right? There's no money. The population is rising. We are 350 million people, and it's rising by a few million every year. Pretty soon, in 10 years, we're going to be 400 million people, right? 400 million people. Right now, 350 million people. It is impossible to provide adequate health care, prevention and treatment, dental care, eye care, ear care, nose care, dermatological care, heart care, disc care, surgery, chiropractic, blah, 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 right? It's impossible to provide this good care from the cradle to the grave to 350 million people. There's just too many people. We just don't have enough money. Our country is $37 trillion in debt, and I live in California. The state of California is bankrupt. We have hundreds of billions of dollars of deficit and debt, right? So do not wait for the doctor or the hospital to call you and say, you know what, we need to do your ankle brachial index. We need to measure the blood pressure in your leg, in both legs, to make sure that you don't have any obstruction in those arteries that feed your leg, right? They're just not going to do it, and it's not going to happen. So you need to take care of your own health care to a certain extent. You, my friend, whether you're a woman, a man, or anything in between, regardless of your political affiliation, gender, race, blah, 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 religion, I don't give a cat, so I love you. Dr. B, you need to listen to Dr. B, because Dr. B is here to help you age gracefully by giving you good, healthy, simple tips so that you can be like me, like having everything like a baby, right? My blood pressure, my sugar, my hemoglobin A1C, every freaking thing, my blood test, every parameters of health are those of a baby. And all my videos explain to you how to do that. It's a constellation of everything, right? And then God willing, I will see you, and you will still see me in 50 years from now. I'm 50 years young. God willing, I will still be with you in 50 years. So remember, every time that you measure your blood pressure, measure it in both arms. And I posted a video about why you need to measure it in both arms and compare the blood pressure between this arm and that arm, right? Check that video. Also, every once in a while, now it depends how many risk factors you have. If you have a lot of risk factors for development of plaques, of atherosclerosis in your blood artery, in your always, I apologize, then you need to do it more often. Instead of doing like every 3 months like Dr. B, do it every month, right? Spend 10 minutes and measure the blood pressure in both legs and compare it to the highest blood pressure in your arm. I mean, this is nothing. 10 minutes for a happy retirement, happy aging, right? Do it. I love you guys. Watch this video again if you didn't understand very well. Slow it down if you can, but I'm trying to make it easy for you. Get the highest blood pressure that you find in either arm, right? Look only at the top number, and then get the blood pressure in both legs and compare the top blood pressure in each leg to the top blood pressure, the highest one in the arm. The blood pressure in either one of your legs should never ever be lower than the highest blood pressure in your arm. It can be equal to it or a little bit higher. Anything between 1 and 1.4 ratio is okay, but it should never be lower. And last but not least, if you are a big person, right, with thick arms and thick legs, then this standard blood pressure cuff is not good for you. You need to buy a blood pressure monitor that has a blood pressure cuff for large people, right? Remember that only God is perfect, right? Everybody has something, right? But with Dr. B, I want to make you healthy like Dr. B, right? So make sure that if your arm has a circumference of more than 13 inches, then you cannot, 13 inches, 1/3, you cannot buy the standard cuff. Same thing for your legs, right? If you have thick legs, then you have to have a large blood pressure cuff made for large adult. Go to any freaking store, you can buy it. Go to any freaking pharmacy, you can buy it. You can buy it online. I mean, it's just crazy how easy it is to buy this kind of stuff for cheap. Good investment in your healthcare, and God willing, with the help of Dr. B here, the best doctor in medicine, you will age gracefully just like me. I love you guys. Dr. B loves you. Dr. B loves you genuinely. I am here to give you guidance, to help you be like me, age very gracefully, to slow down the pace, the rate of aging. Only God can make you younger. It is impossible to not age. Only God can stop aging. But Dr. B can help you slow down the clock of aging. Watch the videos that I have posted. Follow me regularly. And I swear to God, you don't need to buy all this weird stuff that they sell you online that have absolutely no scientific proof to back them up. It is easy, guys, to stay away from poor aging, to stay away from heart attack, stroke, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, kidney disease, liver disease, neurodegenerative diseases, dementia, blah. I swear to God, it is so easy to do, just like Dr. B. You need to spend $0. Just watch my video and follow my advice, and God willing, you will become just like me and age extremely slowly and age extremely good. And God willing, we see each other in the next video. I love you all, whoever you are. I give you a big hug, and hopefully I talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.